Hi there, everyone. This is Sharon for another Conscious Sharon moment. And so remember to like and share, and also remember to turn on the notifications so that you will know when these Conscious Sharon moments are available to you because they are spontaneous, because that's how life is. And so these Conscious Sharon moments, I guess you could say, they are life hacks and they help you to adjust and adapt to life. And so, for this conscious sharing moment, what I want to talk about is daily self care acts. So, when you think of self care, what are the things that come to your mind? Because that's where you begin. Is how do you define what self care is? How do you use self care? What is it for you? And what you will find is that a lot of times, a lot of your natural abilities, your natural way of soothing, you're already doing anyway. You're already doing it. So you have something in you that helps you to cope. The other thing I want to kind of point out, and I may end up having it as another conscious sharing moment, is if you're someone who's experiencing anxiety, depression, I would use those two because they are different levels and continuum. And I like to use those two because we all, no matter who we are, where we are, what we have, what we don't have, I like to say whether we degreed or not, meaning those of us who have a degree, if you work in a certain place with authority, no one is excluded from experiencing the storms of life. And when it comes to experiencing different levels of depression, different levels of anxiety. And so, and especially for those who may experience those two things, I'm going to say much more on the continuum, who may be diagnosed, clinically diagnosed. It's still as important for you to have self care acts, especially on a daily basis, and to know what your go to, and to know that you have the ability. You really do. Believe me, believe me, believe me. Sometimes things can hit you hard. And like for everyone else who may not have a clinical diagnosis of it, just know that you are experiencing certain things. And I can't remember was it yesterday, but I have to say previously, I talked about those ACEs, and those ACEs hits us so much. They are ingrained, and we can, pretty much go to the root of them with these daily um, life hacks, with these daily self care acts. And for some individuals, you may need, I would say, more. But when it comes down to it, you're the one who get to decide that. And I would definitely say, definitely listen to yourself and listen to others, because the other thing is that we may not realize of how others may be perceiving us, how we may be projecting ourselves onto the world. Now, I always say sometimes it can, like the perception, like my perception of the world, my perception of you, or of a particular person, and their perception of me. Sometimes we are dealing with that, but still listen, because even if someone is saying something, it means that they are triggered, and yes, it's something they need to work on, but that is where we can, have some compassion and be kind with our words. And so, getting back to the self care acts, and I wanted to kind of like say all of that because you can see in life where it's so important to have those self care acts. And I know for me, at times, there are times, even though I have everything that I need, I really do. I have everything at my fingertip. I have everything within myself. I have everything, people, places, and things. But there are times in which you can get so activated that you yourself may not even realize that you are in a place where you need some extra coping skills, some extra self care acts. And this is why it's so important to, indulge in these things every day, and especially to be able to have a reflection and self inquiry of yourself, and especially to be able to listen to other people. And so, a self care act can just be something where you just sit with yourself and you can ask, what is this? Or you can say, all is well, with some really deep breaths, and allow yourself to sit in there. And breathing is really so important. And I talk about it, and sometimes I really have to remind myself, because at times I may forget it as well. Because when you're in the midst of something, all things come down, and sometimes anything that you have in place is just, it just may not be there. It may not be at your fingertips. So this is why it's so, so, so important. But I also want to remind you is that there's hope there, and not just hope. Hope works with you doing the work, because you can hope for something, but then if you don't really believe it, and then also if for whatever I'm about to say for whatever reason, and also it really takes work. And so, for instance, if you're experiencing anxiety, even on the diagnosed with clinical anxiety, there are techniques that you can do on a daily basis. You can do the five senses technique, where pretty much focus on something that you see, focus on something that you hear, focus on something that you smell, focus on something where you can touch your skin, touching. I was about to say something else, but you're pretty much all these senses, and it's really so important for you to get in touch with your body, because a lot of the emotions, a lot of the trauma, a lot of our childhood emotional imprints are really there. And I don't really like calling them childhood, because sometimes they're not just when we were children. Sometimes it can be an emotional imprint. Now I would say we had throughout life, and especially if there's a theme to it, there's a pattern to it. um the thing is that when you're doing these self-care acts on a daily basis and be intentional, they get ingrained, and they help you replace those other things that are really bothering you. And again, the more that you are triggered by something, the deeper you go within yourself. And sometimes that may require counseling. But I always say, even with counseling, because I've seen it, sometimes it's just not enough. So that's why it's important for us to be, taking care of ourselves on a daily basis, and to have family and friends that you can talk to on a deeper level. And it's not enough to be able to talk, it's to be able to move through those emotions so that you're not triggered, so that you can pretty much, be in peace and ease when, certain things may occur. And it takes some work. So also give yourself grace and be patient with yourself. And as each of us are doing our own self care work, when someone is triggered or is projecting, it's like for me to be able to have compassion and kindness and love towards that person too. Do I always get it right? No, because sometimes I'm triggered myself. And so, as the number one self care authority in the world, I'm doing this work, and I'm sharing, all of these wonderful things with you so that you can be well in every way, so you can live in joy. And so, if any of this resonates with you, by all means, get in contact with me. I work definitely with professional individuals, entrepreneurs, owners, and organizations, in pretty much how you can integrate this self care act into your lives so that you can transform, you know, to electrifying energy. And so just know that you are well and the work that you're doing really does pay off. And so, what are your self care acts that get you through any moments? And again, they're not just there to get you through the moments, they're really there to keep you alive and to keep you in balance. So, continue to practice and indulge in yourself, because if you don't, no one else will. So, thank you for joining me for this conscious sharing moment.